You guys know the drill. You want updates, and I got them. I'm Dan Ward, and this is Mason Sports Insider. First, as usual, we update the women's soccer team. They hit the road after picking up their fourth conference win last week at home, and they were looking for a fifth win, which would guarantee them a playoff spot. They did one better, winning both of their road games this past week. On Thursday, they defeated the VCU Rams 4-1 thanks to two more goals by Erin Mitchell, who had a hat trick last week. She picked up her sixth and seventh goals of the season, tied for the team lead with Sarah Hardison. Also scoring were Emily Littell for her second of the year, and Kyla Williams, who scored while taking a corner kick. A perfect bend on the kick led to Williams' first goal of the season. Assists went to Littell, Nia Elbeck, and Rebecca Collison. Meanwhile, Kirsten Glad added 6 saves in the game, picking up her 11th win of the season. The second game of the road trip was against revolutionary rival George Washington in D.C. on Sunday. The Colonial defense was tough, but the Patriots were a little tougher. Patriots struck first and scored their fourth goal in the first half over the last two games, when Sarah Hardison retook the team lead with her 8th goal of the season. This turned out to be the game winner, Hardison's 4th game-winning goal of the season, and Mason is now 6-2 in conference play and 12-5 overall, second place in the conference behind only St. Joseph's. So they needed one, but they got two, and now they have a chance at the regular season A10 title. The only way this happens is for Mason to win both of their last two games and for St. Joe's to lose, but it is certainly possible. Either way, they're definitely headed to the A10 tournament in Rhode Island. Just a matter of who they will play at this point. Last year they were an underdog. This year teams will be looking for them. We'll have a preview of the tournament next week after they finish the season. The last two games are Thursday at LaSalle and then Sunday at home against Fordham for senior night. But now we turn over to the men's soccer team. The men's team, they struggled once more. They won't be going to the playoffs this season. They entered this week 0-4, looking for that coveted first conference win. They had two games, one at Duquesne and then one at home versus LaSalle. On Wednesday night, they took on the Dukes, and it looked like Mason wanted that win. They came out fighting early and scored in the 18th minute to take the 1-0 lead. Togu Ibakunle scored his second goal of the season, with an assist coming from Colin Hunter and Grant Robinson. Mason kept Duquesne scoreless through halftime despite 12 first-half corner kicks from Duquesne, but the Dukes found the equalizer less than 30 seconds into the second half. Fortunately, for only the second time this season, Mason found the back of the net for the second time in the same 90-minute span. Tunde Akinlasoto registered his team-leading third goal of the season thanks to the assist from Ryan Mangashos, and Mason looked like they were on their way to victory. But less than 10 minutes left in regulation, Duquesne tied it up yet again. The game ended after the two overtime periods 2-2, ending in a tie, denying the Patriots their first conference win of the season. So the team would try to find that first win at home against the LaSalle Explorers, a team right on the cusp of a playoff spot. It was a windy and cold Saturday night at George Mason Stadium. The two teams were about equal through the first 18 minutes. Then the Patriots had a very interesting play. In the 19th minute, Jordan Edwards sent a cross into the box that deflected off a LaSalle defender into goalkeeper Cameron Keys. While trying to make the save, it appears Keys pushes the ball into the top of the net, but the referee whistles remained silent. The Patriots thought they had themselves a 1-0 lead, but instead the ball was quickly sent down the field the other way, and the Explorers took advantage of a free kick, with Johnny Cialarte giving LaSalle the 1-0 lead. Mason pushed the attack the rest of the game trying to find the equalizer and registered 6 shots on goal, but none of them found the back of the net. The Explorers added a second goal in the 70th minute and then put the game away with an odd-man rush as the Patriots tried everything they could to find a goal. Instead, they fall 3-0 to LaSalle and are now 0-5-1 in conference play. They are the only winless team remaining in the conference. The win for the Explorers was big as they are clinging right onto that 8th and final playoff spot. But for the Patriots, they are now and have been in the position to play spoilers. It'll be interesting to see if Greg Andrulis changes his lineup at all for the last two games. Maybe rest the seniors or rest some of the starters. Try and prepare for next year. At the very least, you will be able to see the seniors play next Saturday, November 5th, in their final home game. This week, the team travels to Kingston, Rhode Island to take on the Rams team that is currently on the outside looking in at the playoffs. So now we'll turn our attention to the women's volleyball team, another team that continued its season-long and conference-long search for that coveted first conference win of the season. It's in the midst of its season-long 5-game homestand. The first match this time came against the Davidson Wildcats. The Patriots came out of the gates hot, opening up with a 3-0 lead. They'll quickly turn, however, with the Wildcats taking 8 of the next 10 points. Mason battled back to make it close 17-15, but then another big 8-2 run closed the first set with Davidson taking it 25-17. Second and third sets were more of the same. Neither team showed any individually dominating performance, but the tall Davidson bodies caused problems for the Patriots. Davidson had 12 total blocks in the game and numerous tips that either forced the Patriots to work harder or opened up easier opportunities for the Wildcats to respond. The second set finished 25-20 in favor of the Wildcats, and even though the Patriots showed grit in the third set by cutting a 6- and 7-point lead in half, it was not enough as the Wildcats picked up the match point from the attack of Sabrina Shepard, beating the Patriots 3-0. So their next matchup was against the VCU Rams just 24 hours later. This was the second time Mason was taking on the Rams in the last 2 weeks. Last time in Richmond, VCU dominated the Patriots in an easy 3-0 victory. Mason this time was looking for revenge. This was the Dig Pink match for the Patriots, their way of raising money and attention for breast cancer research and awareness. Mason's defense was much stronger to start this game than it was against Davidson, and it resulted in the two teams battling on the seesaw to open the set. Then the Patriots went on the first run of the game, a 6-0 run to give them a 12-6 lead. The team dominated from this point on, expanding their lead to 22-15 before suffering once again from that inability to close a set. They allowed the Rams to get within 3 at 23-20 before finally putting the first set away with kills from Jordan Glass and Tiffany Clark to take the set 25-20. Unfortunately, we have seen this story before. Mason and VCU switched roles in the second set, with the Rams going on a big run early and extending it to a big lead late before the Patriots came battling back thanks to an 11-4 run to make it a 23-22 game. VCU had the final say, however, picking up the final 2 points on back-to-back kills, and the match was tied up at 1 set all. The big comeback and intensity of the first 2 sets slowed the Patriots down in the third. VCU opened up with a 3-0 lead before exploding for a big run that would open them up to a 20-10 lead. Bailey Williams, Jesse Greenslade, and Sydney Finoga did all they could during a 6-1 Patriots run to cut into the lead, but VCU won the set 25-17. There was never a dull moment in the fourth, and it was easily the closest set of the match, with neither team ever going on a big run. Ultimately, it would finish with a Rams 25-23 victory, giving them the 3-1 win. Mason continues to look for that first conference win. This young team has shown flashes of excellence, but they clearly still have plenty of areas to improve. As a team, they have 5 games to be played this season, and they too, like the men's soccer team, can play spoiler. It's not a position you want to be in, obviously, but you might as well make the most of it and be the best spoilers you can be. They finished their 5-game homestand with their home regular season with 2 games this week. The first will be a Friday game versus Duquesne, and then senior night for Clark Greenslade and Caitlin Hipsher. That'll be Saturday at 7 versus LaSalle. So we wondered which of the swimming and diving teams would show up this past week at the Richmond Duels, the one that performed great against Delaware or the one that struggled a little bit against Navy and UMBC. Well, in this 2-day event, day 1, the women's team defeated the Davidson Wildcats, winning 4 individual events, and Sydney Fisher continuing to show dominance in her events. Meanwhile, on the men's side, day 1 was successful for them, defeating the Davidson Wildcats 105-100. However, they were playing the Wildcats in both days of the event, so they didn't pick up the victory just yet. Day 2, the women switched their focus onto the Duquesne Dukes, but the Dukes were a little bit too strong. Sydney Fisher continued to show signs of improvement and continued success at picking up another first-place victory, but overall, the team just couldn't cut it against the Dukes. The men's team, however, came out even stronger against the Wildcats and officially defeated them in day 2 of the event. Once again, an entire team performance, winning both relays, multiple individual events. Overall, great week for the men's team, good week for the women's team. Nice job by swimming and diving. And then last but not least, the rowing team competed at the head of the Charles at Cambridge, Massachusetts. At the 8+ event, Patriots were a middle-of-the-pack team, finishing 23rd out of 39 teams. This was battling conditions of 50 degrees and pouring rain. The quote after the match from head coach Ted Nagerson was, quote, The girls had limited water time in this lineup, but were able to overcome some of the conditions to put together an improved row from last week. Improvement, of course, is something you always like to hear. The team will take this week to practice before returning November 5th to host the head of the Occoquan. But that'll do it for the updates this week. Now let's take a look at this week's upcoming schedule. Not a lot of action this week. The road games, the men's soccer team will be at Rhode Island Saturday at 7, and the women's soccer team will be at LaSalle Thursday at 7. But then plenty of home action this week. Women's volleyball will be taking on Duquesne Friday at 7, and then it'll be senior night Saturday at 7 o'clock when they take on the LaSalle Explorers. And then women's soccer also having their senior night Sunday at 1 p.m. If you can't come out and support, make sure you tune in live to Mason Cable Network channel 8.1 or stream it online on the A10 network. But that'll do it for this week's episode of Mason Sports Insider. Hope you enjoyed as always. If there is anything that you'd like to see changed, added, or whatever, feel free to let me know by leaving a comment on YouTube or reaching out to me personally on Twitter. But until next time, I'm Dan Ward saying so long, God bless, and go Patriots.